We'll find out soon, and we are live. Hola. Hola. And now I forget my tagline because Dallas is heckling me. Typical. Hola, MMA connoisseurs. Is that? No, hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. God damn, Dallas, you'd forget your hat if it wasn't stapled to your head.
Strong start to the show. Strong start today.
As fittingly the Thanksgiving edition, pre-Thanksgiving edition of the inimitable MMA Nation UFC TUF 18 finale in-depth preview. Featuring Dallas Winston and some dude in a hat who can't remember his own name right now. This is Kid Nate, and we're going to run through all the fights on the card, talk about a couple of fights that have yet to be announced. Forgive us, we want to spend the holiday with our family. We're not working at Walmart, so we're not going to be here tomorrow doing an in-depth preview on Thanksgiving because it's America's biggest national holiday.
Well, we're not full-time at Walmart.
No, we're not full-time at Walmart. And then nobody's full-time at Walmart. They cut you off at 39 hours a week, dude. And then we're going to watch the last Nate Diaz versus Gray Maynard fight and give you some commentary on that play-by-play. What are you waving your hand? You showing your hand?
It's something I could never anticipate. The sun is out and bright in Michigan. I might have to go hipster and put on some shades here.
I see. Pretty
it's
cool.
Too early for this shit.
But let's run into the fights. Eugene and I did the care, don't care yesterday.
Let's run into them. And while we're running into them, let's run through them.
Run through them. Chew through them. Flyweights. Ryan Benoit versus Joshua Sampo. Am I right to mispronounce the name Benoit as Benoit? Because is this the dude that pronounces his name wrong?
I don't know. I was going to make fun of you. If that helps.
All right. So it might be Ryan Benoit. But any thoughts on the fight?
Oh, well, God, first of all, it's like 5 in the morning here where I am.
5 in the morning means 11:30 in the morning, 10:30 in the morning.
Well, Guy.
Right.
Well, Guy. Actually, Josh Sampo is a pretty legit prospect. I want to say I know he's got wins over Lexus Villa and Antonio Bonnet. It's fucking 5 in the morning, man.
Dude, it's not 5 in the morning because the sun is out.
Chuck Liddell's understudy, prodigy. So he's pretty solid, and I really like that we're going to start seeing an influx of a lot of guys in the past that either, were legit flyweights and just scattered all over hell, or guys that are at 135 or higher and are going to start coming down. So
come on down.
Come on down.
A little bit waiting for you.
I don't know, Ryan. Do we say his name French or not?
Say it, Benoit. I mean, come on.
It's kind of Mexican name, isn't it?
Benoit.
No.
Benoit is not. No. Anyway,
thanks.
Keep it moving.
Thanks for answering that. Literally.
There's no odds for this fight on Best Fight Odds, so I'm at a loss.
I don't know why they did that. So I'm going to go Sampo. I think I would guess he's going to be the favorite. He doesn't have a big name, but he's got a good rep. So I'm going to go Sampo.
All right. I am not going to argue with you about this fight. I'm going
to
pick. Because I don't know jack about these guys, Dallas. That's why I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
I did a little YouTubing, but it was when the fight was announced, and I didn't go back. All right, welterweight Sean Spencer and Drew Dober.
Sean Spencer, I kind of like. He's the striker.
He's favored in this fight on Best Fight Odds, minus 175.
He got a win over Yuri Villefort in his last fight, and actually I think Yuri's a really talented dude. He maybe hasn't put it together, but he's legit. I came in thinking he would kind of be a one-dimensional striker, but he's proven to be pretty tough. He's got some good anti-grappling skills. I think Drew Dober's, I don't think it's his only loss. No, he's 13-4, but his last loss was Will Brooks, who's really,
Bellator.
Yeah, and that kid could be something. He's got some tools that could take him places. So I don't hold that against him too much. But I'm going to just go with Spencer. He's got a little bit more experience, and he's looked good so far. I think he got subbed by Natal and beat Yuri so far in the UFC, which, that's pretty solid.
Yeah. Did he fight Natal at middleweight?
I don't know.
Come on, man. You're supposed to be the expert.
Bro.
People aren't going to believe. I'm not credible as the expert. Yeah, it was at middleweight, but then he went back to
Bloody Elbow CEO right there, folks.
That's right. Editor-in-chief. Actually, managing editor. I was never the editor-in-chief. All right. And that brings us to Jared Rosholt versus Walt Harris. Now, this is a fight I'm all excited for. Am I falling for the hype on Rosholt? Rosholt.
Well, I mean, no.
He's a minus 220 favorite.
Well, I mean, he's a three-time All-American, and he's only got one loss. So, I mean,
But it was a doozy. He got KTFO'd, as they say.
Did he? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who did he lose? Who was his
It
loss?
was a while back. But it delayed his UFC appearance by about a year or more. He got KO'd by Derek Lewis back in August of 2012.
Derek Lewis. So I'm actually it's first of all, it's good to have Jared in the UFC. It's been, I don't want to say but he's been destined to be there. So it's good to see him.
It took longer than we thought. It took longer than we expected.
I'm kind of excited to see, on first glance I looked and Walt Harris, it's like 4-1, and I was thinking like, what? How is it that you can be 4-1 and get a fight in the UFC? But pretty legit dude.
You're a heavyweight.
Well, and he's a real athletic heavyweight. He's a big boy. I read on UFC.com his only loss, his opponent came in like 30 pounds over. So if he's a heavyweight, that means homeboy was like, pushing 300 pounds. Yeah, pretty much. So I'm excited to see how this dude does. There wasn't a whole ton of footage on him, but he's, I think, Golden Gloves champ, a couple different, Golden Gloves, more than one. And he had some mediocre, grappling, I think he was a Naga super fight. So I'm really interested to see what this dude does. He's big, strong, he's real athletic, and he on paper has the chance to, be a well-rounded threat. So I'm going to go definitely with Rosholt, but I'm excited to see what Harris has got here.
Yeah, I am too. I'm going to go with Rosholt as well, but Harris could pop the bubble on the hype train. And don't accuse me of stealing your picks. Anybody would be picking Rosholt. He's a heavy favorite. All right, Ronnie Yaya versus Tom Niinimäki of Finland at featherweight.
Actually,
this one, what?
Stoneface is another guy that's kind of been, flirting with UFC caliber for a while. Shout out to my man Juno over at MMA Viking, who's he's kind of my connection for all the European MMA fight scene. I learned a lot from that dude, actually. But I know that he mentioned him, and he was pretty high on him. He's a super legit prospect. It's great to have him in. Nice, well-rounded. He's pretty. Let's see. He's 5'9" for a featherweight. So I was gonna say he's tall, but not
That's tallish for a featherweight.
A little on the taller end. He's really well-rounded, good striker, good grappling skills, experience, tough. But I mean, who the fuck debuts against Hani Yaya? What the hell?
Yeah,
I don't get that.
A strange choice to me. I don't know why they're feeding Yaya a newbie. And Yaya is one of these cats, Hickson Gracie's student, who's just fairly one-dimensional. I mean, you could say almost completely one-dimensional. But here he is riding a 3-fight UFC win streak, and he's 4-1 overall since coming over from the WEC.
I wouldn't say he's one-dimensional, actually. He used to be, but his wrestling, it's not really that his wrestling is all of a sudden so awesome, but
it's that if he makes body contact with you, you're in a grappling match.
And he's really creative. He doesn't have power doubles at all. He's the kind of guy that will just come at you, and
he vines himself around people.
Yeah, and he'll cling on to you. It's almost Aoki like how he does that, Joe.
Yes, indeed. Or Ben Askren also reminds me of Ben Askren.
Yeah, Askren shoots though.
It's true, but I've seen Askren be on his back, somebody touch his foot, and boom, the grappling match is on. In that respect, he's not a wrestler like Askren, but
we were talking about Askren on the podcast that I did with Connor and how risky and wild his style is. But either way, it's just the way he's been able to transition both from one wrestling technique to another, and then obviously transition from wrestling to a submission game. It's his pace, man. The dude's probably, I would put him up there with Mighty Mouse as one of the most just overwhelming, paces ever
in the early rounds. Unlike Mighty Mouse, he fades a bit. Ronnie Yaya is not somebody I see going all 5 rounds at that pace, for one thing, and he's rarely the same guy in the 3rd round as he is in the 1st.
I haven't really.
Are you going to dispute me on this? You keep showing me up with your fact-based approach, Dallas.
I'm just saying I don't recall him ever. When you say that, I try to think, when did, Yaya gas out in the 3rd round, and it's just not coming to mind right now, Nathan. I'm sorry. If you were confident, if you had conviction in your opinions, we we wouldn't be here. But Ninamaki Stoneface, I want to say a couple of his last wins were Walla Watson, who actually I thought might do something in the UFC because he's so long and spidery, and Chase Beebe too. So, the dude's totally legit. I just don't get the matchmaking because it doesn't do a lot for Yaya if he wins.
No, and it's a very tough hill to climb for Ninamaki.
Yeah, and how do you learn whether or not a dude is UFC caliber by throwing him at, Yaya? So I'm gonna go.
Well, if he beats him, then we'll know.
Well, yeah. So I'm gonna go Yaya here, but.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Yaya too. But let's move on. Featherweights: Akira Corsani versus Maximo Blanco. Here we have a Swedish TUF veteran against my favorite Senguko veteran, Blanco, who is, as Eugene would say, is a guy I can't trust anymore. The guy, he's like the featherweight Dave Herman without the reefer problem. But he's a wrestler who watched a couple of Bruce Lee movies and thinks he learned hidden praying mantis drunken monkey style, I think.
Yeah, I'm into that.
And he didn't. I mean, it's cool to watch him spin around and shit, but when he's not fighting some Japanese guy who should be 2 weight classes beneath him, it's not quite as impressive.
Jesus. You're throwing rocks today, dude. Why are you so... What's Maxi's recent... The fighters that I know, I didn't really... What's he done lately? Like,
what's Maximo?
Why are you mad?
Well...
Why are you mad?
I'm mad because I thought I'd be, having all the edge, and he's 1-1 in the UFC, lost to Marcus Brimage by split decision. Then he took a unanimous decision over Sam Sicilia in what was a pretty good fight.
So why are you mad?
Well, I'm mad because his style is low percentage when his athletic ability and skill set should be fairly high percentage.
Well, it's technically his percentage is 50-50 in the UFC, so that's not really low.
Well, but neither of the fights, were like the huge dramatic knockouts that I think that, he trained us to expect in Sengoku. It is why.
He didn't give you the huge knockouts.
I came in expecting fireworks, Dallas, and all I got was a cuddle.
Well, actually, when he first
Blanco's
came
a
over,
minus 165 favorite.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Maxi. When he first came over, one of the few things I'm kind of it's kind of stupid. I hardly ever toot my own horn, but he was the reason I think you liked him and I liked him is overseas he capitalized on the rules that we love that are banned, over in the States. So knees, kicks to a downed opponent. And I don't remember who it was when he came over in Strikeforce, but he fucking kicked him right in the face when he was down. So yeah. I think, and that is kind of a thing you have to adapt to it. That's got to be really hard to totally change your mentality to a different set of rules. So I'm going to go Maxi here. Corasani's kind of tough. He's kind of impressed me in the fact that he's got the skills to hang around for at least a little bit.
Yeah, he's also been a little injury prone and has had a few canceled fights, and so he hasn't fought very much. Been in the UFC since 2012. It's only his 3rd fight. So.
And actually, I didn't think he won that Andy Ogle fight. I thought that was a draw actually.
And Andy Ogle is not exactly setting the world on fire in the UFC either. It might have been cut already. So.
No, he's a tough dude though. But I gave Ogle a 10-8 in the 3rd round because he beat his ass.
You and your 10-8 scores.
Oh my God, I know.
Yep, outlier. All right, that brings us to the first of the Ultimate Fighter shows. This is not the finale, but this is Jessamine Duke versus Peggy Morgan, both of whom were in the ladies' bantamweight tournament. Peggy Morgan got submitted by Sarah Moras in the 1st round, and Jessamine Duke got unanimous decision by Raquel Pennington. Pennington's still in the game. Moras was taken out by Juliana Pena in the 2nd round. Thoughts on this one, Dallas?
Should we do kind of an overview on? Because there's a couple.
The whole show, the whole pack. Well, you want to talk about Roxy? Is that what you're getting at?
That and just, it's the first Ultimate Fighter with women on it.
With the ladies, with the double X chromosomes.
Yeah, so let's see. Sarah Moras isn't. Her and Shayna Baszler, I think, are injured, but will eventually, from what I understand, they're on the roster and they'll get a chance. So
yeah. Well, they need the fighters in the women's bantamweight division.
Yeah, and I was actually, first of all, I was super impressed with the women's precedental first stint on the Ultimate Fighter.
Indeed, I think we're much more in a situation analogous to the early days of Ultimate Fighter for men, back when you could still get Chris Liebens and Josh Koscheck's and Kenny Florian's and Diego Sanchez's, we have not scraped the bottom of the barrel yet for female talent that are willing to be on Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, maybe that's it. The talent pool is rich right now, but I thought it was great having them on there. And I thought it was interesting that they were so, like, all business, man. They were so focused and driven and just not fucking around. So I think the ladies did a phenomenal job of, I guess repping women's MMA, which is here to stay, obviously, now.
It seems that way.
So let's see. The only so Pena doesn't have an opponent because she's waiting for the winner tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we believe Roxy, because she's still versus TBA, she's going to fight the loser of that match probably.
That is my expectation, that the loser of the Raquel Pennington-Jessica Rakowski match is going to fight Roxy.
So let me give Roxy some love here. I would say, to me...
And that's Roxanne Modafferi.
Yeah, the Happy Warrior. To me, this might be like a little out there, another outlier, as you say, or whatever, but to me, like, Roxy is, to me, and should be like the face of women's MMA. And I realize
words with Ronda Rousey standing right there.
Well, but it's different, you know what I mean? Like, at first, I mean,
she might be more like the heart and soul of women's MMA rather than.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it, actually, because, I mean, let's be honest, it was Cyborg Carano that vaulted women's MMA into the spotlight. And I mean,
Carano had it in the spotlight before Cyborg came along and took her by the head, and
she was starting to. And let's be honest, I mean, how much of that was because Gina's hot? I mean, I think that was, and it's no offense to anyone, but two things. Let me clarify two things.
I find it very offensive that Gina's hot.
Actually, three things. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna probably
deeply
forget
offended
two
by
of
Gina
them.
Carano's hotness.
When we used to watch women's MMA, because it was like kind of like what I was saying about flyweight, there
like
was
a freak show with hot chicks.
Well, when you watch girls fighting, like one thing, again, no offense, when the WNBA first came out, I mean, it just didn't, not to be rude, but it seemed like this is girls, it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if there was some legit talent on the card, they would likely be matched up with someone who was just not, and all of a sudden, Gina was good looking, she had credentials, and when she fought, it was like, holy, in Cyborg,
and she got to choose her own weight class, basically, as well. They sort of, like, let the scales do what they may, and then, Gina's going to weigh in, and then we'll find out what weight class this fight's going to be in.
Well, and that's, I mean, why would you not cater to her, you know what I mean?
Because it's unfair to the other fighters who are having to fight somebody with who didn't cut weight and who's coming in with, like, a 10, 15, 20-pound weight advantage.
Yeah, but where would women's MMA be without that? See, and to me, I think it's kind of superficial that we have to wait for and Gina's, very attractive, such a sweetheart. But, I mean, women have been in the trenches, I mean, going all the way back to, like, Erin Tohill and, Shelby Girl way back in the day. So, anyways, getting back on topic, Roxy, I remember, like, 10 years ago on the Underground Forum, she had started fighting professionally, but she had, like, this infectious charisma, like, I don't use exclamation points ever when I write or type because of like Roxy, she's one of the few people where when she says something, it's like big, huge smile. So she's just like a very down-to-earth person. And she fucking moved over to Japan because there was nothing doing in the States for women's MMA. And now she's moving back. So to me, she's not the type where you'd see and say, oh my God, I need to cast her in a movie role, like, and she's not like Cyborg where you quiver when you see her fight and that kind of thing. She's obviously doing it for one thing. It's because she loves the sport. So I just had to throw a shout out to Roxy there. I can't wait to see her fight. I'm really happy for her. I guess that's about it. So, and then Basler and Sarah, and I thought Sarah might win the show. She looked really, really good. Really liked her grappling game.
She did, but she ran into a brick wall named Juliana Pena.
Yeah, wow, that was a great fight. I mean, Pena's she's tough, man. She's really
my
good.
favorite to take that fight, I believe.
I probably think
she is
so
my
too.
Favorite. Yeah.
Rakosi, to me, when we get to there, is kind of the wild card because with her striking and she's got some submission skills as well. I don't know exactly what her ceiling's going to be. Okay, so where are we at here? Jessamine Duke, Peggy Morgan.
Yes.
Kind of odd they match these two up. I mean, both really tall strikers. I don't know who should be the favorite here, but this could be a little bit awkward because they're so similar that how grappling might be the differentiator here. So if the striking
Yep.
is even, and you can't fault one girl for trying to grapple the other because that's just
That's
it's a changer.
MMA. That's
Yeah.
MMA. And this is one area where I will say women's MMA might be a little bit behind men's MMA in that you're likely to have some of these. Like if you get two good female grapplers in there, you're highly likely to have a bad kickboxing match break up. And if you get two really good strikers, you're highly likely to have a semi-pro grappling match break out.
Well, there's areas where they can stalemate. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is something to look out for in this fight. No odds on the MMA best fight odds on this one. Who you got?
I think actually I'm going to go with Jessamine. I kind of got a little thing for her. She's a cutie. But actually I think Peggy might be a little more fluid on the feet. She's a little more tighter. Her defense is a little better. But that's kind of like why I like Jessamine. It's like the old shootbox style. Her defense might not be airtight because she's going at it. She's throwing. She's all offense actually, pretty much. So
Well,
this
I'm
should
not
be a
going to
good
argue
fight.
with you. I'm going to go with Duke
I know
as
you're
well. And so let's go with bantamweights. This is the fellas. The only two fellas from the show. Not the most sterling season of candidates for the men, I would say. A couple of weight-cutting, shaming themselves incidents. But Chris Holdsworth and David Grant, hats off to them. They've made their way to the Ultimate Fighter finale. One of them will be the Ultimate Fighter.
I'm trying to. There's a couple. Like the guy I can think of right now is Wooten. So there were a bunch. Because when they said no dudes are fighting on the finale, I started thinking no one really jumped out except for the finalist. Except then you remember a guy like Wooten who looked pretty good. He didn't do shit. He didn't miss weight.
No.
So I wonder what happened to a cat like that who.
I don't know.
He seems to be one of the few, and I think Josh Hill was another guy that put on a pretty good fight and lost.
Yeah, he took Wooten to decision, and then but Holdsworth got past Wooten, so Holdsworth and Grant. Let's focus.
I think Holdsworth deserves to be the favorite here. I don't know if you have the odds up. I imagine
There's
he is.
no odds for this one on best. So.
I actually like Grant. I mean, the fucking kid looked like an animal on the show, man. He's tall, lanky, good striker, technical, tight striking, not huge power, but I mean, everything's
For
really good.
bantamweight, he's got some pop.
Yeah, and the thing that surprised me is he out-muscled a bunch of people. So I think Holdsworth is obviously gonna, he's a black belt, so he's gonna test his submission defense. But so I think Holdsworth, it only takes one, one mistake, one split second. So even though I think Holdsworth should be the favorite, I'm gonna go with Grant here. I like that cap.
I'm gonna play the conventional wisdom and go Holdsworth just to be contrary, Dallas. And that brings us to the big fight. Nate Diaz versus Gray Maynard. Are you ready to do this? You ready to watch the?
Well, let's see. Do we want to talk about Rakosi and Pennington?
Well, sure. We can talk about Rakosi and Pennington, although that fight's already happened. So.
What do you mean that fight's already happened?
Well, it was filmed for the show, and it's going to be airing tomorrow night.
Okay, so
or tonight.
Even though the fight has happened, we don't know.
We don't know the outcome. I'm just saying. I don't know.
I don't really have a lot to say on it. I just felt like we should touch Rakosi's sweet hands, big upset. She surprised me the whole way through. I really don't know who's going to...
But I think he just picked her because she was Polish. I don't think a lot of in-depth analysis went into it.
I'm leaning towards her too, just because...
Really?
Yeah, she's got the offensive potency when she's on. She's really offensive-minded with her boxing, and then she was tough. Even... defensive grappling, she looked good. So I'm kind of leaning her way. But I think, man, it looks to me like Pena's going to win it.
I think Pena beats either one of these ladies.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way
less of an opinion. I'm going to go with Pennington in the fight tonight, but
all right,
which goes against everything I believe in. You don't bet on a fight that's already happened, Alice, because somebody else could already know the outcome.
You're a nihilist.
I'm not a nihilist. I'm familiar with the gambling of Chico Marx. Are you ready to watch the Gray Maynard versus Nate Diaz fight from January 11th, 2000?
Yeah, are you going to announce to the viewers what we're doing?
We are going to watch the last Diaz-Maynard fight. This was the only actual UFC bout. The first time they met, it was an Ultimate Fighter. What do they categorize that as? An exhibition bout that doesn't count on their official pro records. although it is, adjudicated by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, just like it was a real fight.
Jesus.
Adjudicated, yes, adjudicated. But I want to start. Let's start 13 seconds into the video, where we've got the card, where we've got the
Well, I don't even know what that means, Nate.
It's got the height, weight, age, reach.
Really? Okay.
It's got pictures of both dudes.
Should we just start at the first round when the fighting's? It's just a
Okay.
thought.
Well, I mean, I thought we could sync easily
It's
there
out
at
there.
13 seconds, but
It's a radical opinion, but
Dallas, you're pushing your luck. Okay, we're gonna scoot ahead then. It takes a little while. There's some mean mugging from Nate, some pacing by Gray. Gotta pass forward.
who did you think won this fight the first time? I haven't watched this since in forever.
Oh,
so
I
I'm
thought
kinda
Maynard
looking-
clearly won it. I thought Diaz was one.
Clearly.
Won it. But let's watch the fight. This will be the first time we watch this fight in like 2 years. I don't see any hand shaking. All right, are
Good
you ready?
observation. Yeah, where are you at? Like
I'm
they're
at
about to touch
2:31
gloves.
into the video. They have refused to touch gloves and backed into their corners.
Okay.
Are you there? Go
Yeah.
to 2:32 in the video.
Yeah. Again, or we could just when the fight starts.
Well, the fight is starting like.
Okay, I'm at 2:31 in the video.
Well, now I'm at 2:34 because I was moving to where the fight started.
This is pure chaos. All right,
It
so
is
you got
madness.
2:34.
That's what keeps the fans glued to it. the
Count it down.
screens.
2:34. 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1, go! And then
Nate Diaz is mad. He looks mad.
Maynard bounced on his feet. Diaz hits his face a few times.
Diaz lands a 3-punch combo on himself.
And Maynard backing up a little bit. Diaz has all kinds of height and reach.
God, look how long he is, yeah. And I like how you can see right off the bat how Nate has lowered his level way more down than usual for that
Yep.
right there. So Maynard comes in
Nate-
with an overhand and tries to drop levels.
Nate's
Nate ain't
pawing
having
out
it.
with that right hand.
I
He's
love this
just-
technique that both the Diaz brothers do when they reach out and paw like that. Half the time when the guy puts their hand up, they'll just smack it away and then slap him right in the mouth.
Yep.
It's gangster,
It's,
son.
It is gangster. I love their style. Maynard comes in with the combination. Nate swinging ineffectually in response.
So far, I
Nate
haven't seen
fires
anyone
left.
land anything.
No,
Note.
definitely not of note. Maynard coming in. Maybe took a couple of slight hits there as he was flaring
Yeah.
in. Maynard
Ooh.
flaring again and definitely took a right hand on the
That's-
inbound.
That's 2 right hooks that Nate slipped right over the shoulder onto him.
Yeah.
And fast, too, man. Nate is fast for such a gangly bat. Oh, you see, that time Maynard anticipated that right hook and tried to duck under.
Duck under it. He didn't do anything with it. He almost got an underhook, but didn't.
Straight left by Nate. Ooh, 2 straight
Big
lefts.
whiff.
Ooh, and then a jab. Ooh, all right,
Maynard-
right hand there by Gray. Right now I have Nate ahead.
Handily, although none of these have really been damage strikes. Although he does have Maynard cut. Forgot about that. Maynard whiffing
Already?
again. Diaz missing.
Yeah, so far I have the punch count like way up for Nate. That
Yeah,
that
which
right
is
hand, man.
what you would expect with his style. High volume, low impact punching style.
True.
And Maynard caught him ducking with the right hand there.
How can it be low impact if you cut him? Ooh,
Well,
another right
I'm
hook.
saying it's a high volume, low impact style. I didn't say
I'm
that-
just fucking with you, Nate. Don't explain
Don't
yourself.
fuck with me, Dallas.
So, man, I have Nate now handily out. I mean, What is
Yeah,
it,
although
3,
Maynard
3 to
moving
1?
forward and
Ooh,
tagged him. He tagged
that
him
was
with
nice.
the right hand.
All
That was
right,
real
that
nice.
seemed to be probably the cleanest combo
Shot
of
of
the
the-
fight.
Yeah.
So right now I'm more towards even, but I still have Nate up by a tad here.
A tad. Just a tad.
Mhm.
We're at 245.
Just a
Maynard
hair.
with a
Ooh,
combo.
nice.
Fires off
All
the
right.
combo.
Now you got to call it even. Oh, Nate comes back. He only landed
Nate
that left.
comes back. Yeah.
I think that left straight out of that 4-punch combo.
And Maynard caught him, and then a clash of heads there. Nate circles away and comes back. More ducking wild overhand rights.
Ooh, man, Gray cracked him
Maynard-
with that left coming in.
Yeah.
Why would Nate move forward and reach out to clinch like that for the single collar tie?
I don't know.
You don't
And
want to
then-
clinch with Gray Maynard.
Nate caught him with the little right. Coming in that time. It's all about the hand fight when you got the southpaw versus the orthodox fighter. And Maynard can't
It's all
decide
about the lead foot.
if he's backing away or coming in. But, ooh, he come in and he hurt him there.
That
He
was
hurt
it.
him. This
Yep.
one I remember.
All right, then I would man,
And
even
see,
now I would
Nate's
say
trying to clinch.
kind of even, but now I have Gray up by a hair.
Yeah.
Hard combo, man.
Gray hits really fucking hard. Which makes what TJ Grant did to him all the more amazing. I mean, not that that has any impact on his chin, but you know, he hits hard. So, yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Diaz pawing but not hitting. Oh, the first leg kick. Diaz with 2 leg kicks.
Why doesn't he throw those? Look at that. He
landed
threw
like
3 and landed
4.
every one of them.
Oh, and Gray with a much sharper leg kick of his own in reply.
Isn't it weird like that? How in a fight, no one will throw a leg kick. One guy will throw like 1 or 2 and land it hard, and the other guy will all of a sudden throw it right back at him.
It's very human. You get pissed off. Yes, and then another
which is
head
a person from Yuma,
heads.
Arizona. A human.
Ooh, nice exchange, and Diaz got the better of that one. Diaz
doing his thing,
and Maynard taunting back.
Nice straight left to the body there.
Yep. Ooh, Diaz ducks, and Maynard hits him with 2 rights.
See, every time Nate throws a combo, his head starts to drift over, that he starts to dip it left, and Maynard's starting to key in on that with those short right jackhammers.
Yep. 30 seconds left. I've got Maynard up.
Yeah, it's really close, though, man.
Yeah, and both guys are still having trouble establishing their range. Diaz blinking his eye like he's hurt.
Blinking his eye like he's hurt.
Like his eye is hurt, like he's having some trouble seeing. Come on! Dallas, unforgiving. Unforgiving. Oh, I think Maynard hurt him with that flurry. Yep, it's got Diaz taunting him as the bell rings.
Is that the end of the round?
That was the end of the round. I think that was a clear 10-9.
Yeah.
Maynard.
Yeah, not by much, but...
No, but both men needed attention from the cut men.
It was enough to break my 10-10 window, realm, range,
controversial
spectrum.
Controversial 10-10 window. Nate's having some water, getting the end swell pressed against his eye. Does he have a cut or just a swelling?
I can't. It looks like just swelling. Diaz, I mean, I don't remember Nate cutting.
Not like his brother. His brother had to have surgery. Stitch in the corner with Gray Maynard and Randy Couture. Think Randy Couture will be in Maynard's corner this Saturday?
I don't know. I have no idea.
The UFC has threatened to ban him, but it's actually the NSAC that would have that power, not the UFC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, remember there was a big controversy about they weren't even going to let him corner his own son, Ryan Couture.
And why is that? Because he's with Bellator now?
Because he did the Bellator reality show, although Greg Jackson did the Bellator reality show too, and he's still welcome in people's corners.
Shit like that just pisses me. That's one of the few things that just pisses me off about the UFC.
Although the thing about Randy Couture is that nobody likes him. So
what? Dude.
I mean, the fans love him, but come on. How many divorces and how many broken business relationships does a man have to have before...
I don't give a fuck about that. The dude's a fucking legend, man.
He is a legend. I'm just saying he's not the easiest to work with.
Yeah, all those times you worked with him, he was
I'm just saying, ask Matt Linden, ask Dan Henderson.
Dude, I don't care.
I've seen him fight.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, he is a great fighter and a great commentator.
We're 30 seconds into the round while you're hating on a legend.
Oh, sorry, and another clash of heads. They're clashing heads a lot as they come in.
They are, but look, it's because Nate keeps dipping his head right into that same spot.
Yeah, and Maynard, I think, also, anybody as successful in amateur wrestling as Maynard is going to be something of an experienced hand at dishing out headbutts. Am I wrong?
I don't.
I mean,
ooh, nice.
Yeah, the times I wrestled with guys who knew what they were doing, I got cracked in the head a lot.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Well, their head control, I mean,
yeah,
their head's like a battering. Yeah.
Yeah, they know exactly. Maynard boxing him up in the clinch.
I don't think a lot of that landed.
Why Nate keeps grabbing him.
Yeah, and first of all, I don't know why you want to clinch with Gray, but if you're going to do it, like, commit to a clinch. You can't, like, when you're in striking range, reach out like that. That's weird. I don't remember him doing that. If I were Gray, when Nate's dipping his head, that was a hard
Nate ate
right.
A big right hand.
And that, I don't know if it wobbled him, but it woke him up.
Yeah.
If I would Gray, the perfect for when
big
a guy's dipping his head down like that is a right roundhouse kick. Gray never throws kicks, really, does he?
No, he's not a big kicker. Not a big kicker.
So 3:15 in, I have Gray definitely landing the harder shots here.
Yeah.
Nate has.
Nate's scoring some points though.
That was nice. That was nice.
Yeah.
Still have Gray up.
Yeah.
But that was really the first.
Do you have any idea who Gray's training with these days?
No, that's
part of the Extreme Couture Diaspora.
when you, I don't even
Left
know.
Las Vegas.
I was gonna ask that when we started talking about couture. So he's not training at Extreme Couture anymore?
Mm-mm. Almost nobody actually trains at Extreme Couture. Some people have gone to Robert Drysdale's camp.
Almost nobody.
Oh, I think Ryan Couture still does. But I mean, none of the guys you associate with Extreme Couture back in the day. Boris Griffin is retired. Tyson Griffin's moved on. Gray Maynard's moved on. I can't think of anybody else. Ooh, Maynard drops him with a knee to the head.
So 3 fighters that used to train there don't anymore. Now almost nobody.
Name somebody who still
there.
trains there, Dallas. Just
Evan Dunham. There's a lot of dudes that train there.
He still
there
trains
might not
there?
be big names. I believe so. Yeah.
Huh.
And a lot of guys go back and forth from Extreme Couture and Drysdale. Are we talking about this? Damn, I do not.
Maynard staggered him again. I mean, Maynard's way up in this round.
Yeah, like Nate
and
has
he's got his right hand cocked. To me, though, this makes what Josh Thompson did all the more impressive because Gray Maynard has some serious power. This is a guy who nearly knocked Frankie Edgar out twice. And Diaz has been staggered a few times, but he's definitely not hurt. Like, not out of the fight.
Oh, yeah. Well,
he's coming back, scoring with a jab.
I believe when Josh Thompson did that, that's the only time a Diaz brother has been legit TKO'd. Nice combos there by Nate, but a minute and a half in.
Wait, didn't that rapist knock out Nick Diaz early on in his career?
Which rapist was that?
The guy that was on Ultimate Fighter and got kicked off for going out to meet chicks. Fought Diaz in their UFC
Jeremy
debut.
Jackson? Oh,
Jeremy
yeah, you're right.
Jackson.
That was Nick Diaz way back in the day. Yep. Nice combo there by Nate. He's putting it on. But
yeah, Nate's coming back, but I still think he's behind on the rounds.
The problem with what you were
saying.
Another
nice combo from Nate.
Real nice.
Punches up, and now Gray gets a double collar tie and breaks and lands a right hook.
The problem with this Diaz style is in this point right here, you're a minute down. You need something momentous to overcome how far you're down, and the volume style is not the best.
It's a front runner style. You're either ahead and building your lead, or you're really in trouble because it's very hard to come back. And Maynard's style of running in and out and landing a lot of hooks and overhands is a really good answer to the Diaz volume punching style, if you ask me.
It's perfect. I always talk about Frankie Edgar for what fighters should do, and obviously Gray does not look like Frankie Edgar here.
No.
But he's doing a good job of getting in. Yeah, easily. Getting in, whenever he's in front of Nate, he's throwing, and then he's out. He's out of there. So it's really smart because Nate, look at Nate. He's basically plodding forward, straight line every time. It's so predictable. That was a nice combo by Gray right there.
Yeah, it was. Freddie Roach is very right about the Diaz brothers. They don't work angles very well, and that's how Carlos Condit was able to beat Nick Diaz. Exploiting angles.
It seems like that whole concept is kind of lost on them.
I think in Stockton they think angles are for pussies. I think that's you're not allowed to choose an advantageous angle.
Yeah.
Nice angles, corner work from Randy Couture. Water to his fighter around Stitch, the cut man.
Okay, yeah, that was a good move. Play-by-play of the corner action.
Yeah, Stitch is holding the bridge of Maynard's nose and Vaseline in it.
Nicely. I have, Gray up solid, and I remember this fight being pretty close.
And Nate Diaz. Yeah, this is 2-0. Yeah, Leon Tabs. Sorry. This is. I told you this before we went into this fight that Maynard won it handily.
I just remember Nate afterwards, look at my face.
He said he beat Josh Thompson too. I mean, come on. Remember what he said after
Josh Thompson?
He said the guy hits like a pussy and screams like a girl when he gets hit. And this is about a guy who knocked him the fuck out. And really one of the most one-sided fights I can recall.
I want to say that's another precedent because I always like the Diaz brothers because they'll ridicule you before a fight, but usually afterwards they show respect. And that was one case where I wasn't on board with that.
No, I wasn't either. And I'm not a fan of Josh Thompson except for his fighting, but I felt that Nate was in the wrong there, and I'm far more charmed by the Diaz brothers than I am by Josh Thompson. But
except for his fighting.
I like his fighting. I've always liked his fighting. It's just everything else he does I don't like. Maynard with a nice knee from the double collar tie and a nice body shot there. He's playing Matador here with Diaz, which is interesting because Maynard, in some ways, is more the slugger. Ooh, Diaz with a high kick, but didn't seem to do much.
Both Diaz brothers are really due to switch it up. because
Over.
there's no one in MMA that has ever done anything predictable that people haven't figured out. Chuck
Yep.
Liddell, except Machida, but there's no
Well,
figuring
Shogun
that
figured out
out.
Machida. Shogun figured out Machida's style.
Yeah.
He did. He
On
totally
that one
did,
night.
dude.
Yeah, on that night.
On those 2 nights.
Yeah, okay.
So this
I mean,
round's
close.
very close.
Either way, there's just not a lot doing at all right here.
No, there's a little pond. Nice trading of blows there.
So for this next fight, you have to hope Nate does
Well, I think
what he's not doing. You know.
Yeah, well, I think
doesn't
both
do
of
what
these
he's doing
guys
right
though
now.
are due for. Ooh, Diaz
was that?
staggered Maynard.
Was that
It looked like it was a right hand, a sneaky right hand.
You know, with the way the camera was, Gray flew into the camera. I couldn't.
It was very hard to
couldn't
see.
see it
It was
very
very
well.
hard to tell what happened. It could have been a slip, but
Ooh,
Diaz is catching him. Now
that
Gray.
straight left was a hard one. Did you see him? His leg
Ooh.
buckle for a minute. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Now Nate's going off.
Yeah.
So what do you think the reason is for this turnaround? Maynard's activity is way down. You know, before
I think Maynard is carrying a lot of high density muscle mass, and that he gasses as the fight goes on. We saw it against Frankie Edgar both times, and then Diaz is tagging him, and Maynard resorting to leg kicks.
He's getting
This
boxed
round
the
might
fuck
be
up.
Diaz's so far.
Absolutely.
Landed some nice knees.
This round is all. I mean, there wasn't
It's
a lot
not all
going,
Diaz, but it's handily Diaz.
in the past, I didn't think there was a lot cooking. You know, like 3:30 in, and now in the past minute, it's been all Nate.
Yeah. Although Maynard doesn't look like he has a lot of pop left on his punches.
That's what I was just gonna say.
But is this going to be a 5-rounder or a 3-rounder?
You know, fuck if I know.
Oh,
There's so many things like that. Like it should not be that hard to go find and figure out.
I know, and that's what I delegate to you, and then
When did you delegate that to me?
now I need answers. And when's the podcasting of these shows come along?
That was like last week, bro. I got all that
All right,
buttoned
that's
up.
handled. All right, excellent. The readers are watching.
I know.
I saw
man.
that face.
That
All right, we need to get back
was-
to the fight. That's enough. That's enough.
Well,
Bye.
this is kind of lame what we're doing, and even now there's a minute and a half in, and I mean, unless Nate, goes to a 10-8 realm.
Yeah, I mean,
It's all
he can
gray.
win this round, and he's still gonna lose the fight. So and Maynard's now the one throwing the heavier leather, 131 into the 131 left in the round.
You know, the thing with the Diaz brothers is at this point they have the most potent fight finishing offense ever, and it's in their submission grappling. And their striking is good, formidable, obviously, but this is another case where you're not going to win this fight by outstriking them.
Well,
And
they're
you're probably not going to knock them
two-dimensional
out.
fighters with striking and submissions, but they're wrestling weakness. And Nate's tried to ameliorate that a little bit with his judo's studies, but you're not gonna. He's a couple of times clinched up with Gray Maynard as if he seriously thinks he's gonna hip toss him.
Why? Why? What
not-
possible advantage do you have from reaching out and trying to single collar tie Gray Maynard?
None.
I mean,
None.
you're not even wrestling wise, and on top of that, you're leaving your. Every time he reaches out with that hand, Gray's touching him with that
And
left
if he
hook.
does get the clinch, the 2 or 3 times, all right, Maynard just stuffed him on a really ill-advised single leg shot, a half-assed single leg shot that he took, and he took sidewise as if he was doing it from a judo
Sidewise.
stance. Sidewise. Maynard
Ooh,
popping with.
damn. This is a pretty clear win for Gray here. Even if
Yeah.
Nate wins this last round, Gray's starting to even it out. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Why? See, like, I love the Diaz brothers, but what was that? Why do you? That wasn't even a shot.
That was just a.
He
a clinch.
bent over and reached.
I think
for
that's
his
his
waist.
instinct when he's been hurt or he's a little bit tired. Diaz actually offered him a glove touch after the fight was over. All right, I mean, clear win for Gray Maynard.
What were the scores for this?
Let's pull it up. Does MMA Decisions have it?
They'll have the overall score. Sometimes they have the individual scores. Wow, I did not remember that.
I told you. Isn't it kind of shocking how I remembered?
You told
and
me.
you didn't?
It's shocking how you
Mm-hmm.
knew something.
It is shocking. The longtime viewers of the
It is-
show will
yeah.
be deeply shocked. Mike
Long-time viewers are rejoicing.
refused to believe it.
So who's your pick? I guess we didn't talk about.
Well, the thing is, the X factor here
Wow.
is Gray Maynard is coming in off, frankly, an ass whipping by T.J. Grant. I mean, he got just mauled the way Gray Maynard used to maul people, and Nate Diaz is coming in from an ass whipping by Josh Thompson. And the thing is, I think the difference is that Thompson didn't just beat Diaz's ass; he implemented the game plan that Carlos Condit showed us on how to beat a Diaz. Condit implemented it against Nick Diaz, but Thompson did everything.
Well said. You're
I saw
smooth.
that. I saw. I nearly got one of their names right in that 2-minute excursion.
Nearly.
But what Thompson did was he exploited the theoretical breakthroughs that Carlos Condit and Greg Jackson showed work against the Diaz brothers, which is establishing angles, circling away, don't get into a Donnybrook with the guys, don't try to brawl with the Diaz brothers, circle away, pot shot, and leg kick. He leg kicked the bejesus out of him, which set up the high kick. Now, is Gray Maynard sophisticated enough? You know, Gray, Ronan Maynard wandering around from camp to camp. I don't know who's training with. I don't know who's advising him. But there's no Greg Jackson figure in the corner pulling the strings. Is he savvy enough, and is he confident enough after just getting blasted in this last fight? I mean, that to me is a very difficult question. Douglas Crosby had Maynard winning 10-9 all 3 rounds. Sal D'Amato and Cardo Uso both gave Diaz 1 round, although it doesn't say which.
Got to be the third.
Yeah, it has to be the
good
third.
scores. I think that's legit.
But get this, Fight Metric and Jordan Breen scored it a 29-29 draw. And Junkie and Mike Fridley of Sherdog scored it for Diaz. What the fuck? Who are these fucking idiots? And Jordan Breen, I mean, obviously I bow to and respect his fight acumen, but he must have been high as fuck.
Well, I don't hold that against him.
No, I don't
and
either,
Fridley,
but still.
Mike Fridley is like a big shooter there. He knows his shit.
He knows his shit more than me, but he got it wrong on this one. I mean, badly wrong.
It seems odd. And that's weird because I remembered it kind of that way. Like, it was close. Some people had it, but it was pretty definitive. I don't know how you can give Nate 1 or 2.
You know, one thing, we didn't have the sound on. There might have been the
Joe
infamous
Rogan.
Joe Rogan factor. He loves a Diaz brother.
Guy has a cancer. I'm just
You just called him a That is brutal, Dallas.
Well, I'm
That's going to be
joking.
the headline. I'm going to take it out of context and say, Dallas says Joe Rogan is a cancer.
That's kind of like you're supposed to. You just said that publicly.
You said it.
Your journalistic practices.
Oh.
I'm not worried about what I said, dude. You're worried about me.
No, I'm just saying.
So
like,
much for your journalistic
if I was
integrity.
the way
But
fighters thought we were, that's what I would do.
I don't remember if I talked about it on this last Tete with Connor, but I mean, Joe Rogan's a dude just like us. He has an opinion. So I like all
and an
that.
informed opinion. He's seen a lot of fights, and he's got his Taekwondo background. He's got his jiu-jitsu training.
Oh, he knows his
He's
shit.
done a heck of a lot of HGH. Are you just going to let that go?
Fuck, dude.
I mean, do you think
Does he snort it?
I don't know. I mean, he smokes the reefer.
Oh, God. Vile.
Dangerous,
What a cretin.
drug-addled
Fiend.
Exactly. So anyway, I mean, don't you
Sean?
think that that's the key thing is which one of these guys can recover better? And both of their camps are in disarray. Nate's no longer managed by Cesar Gracie. I don't know how much he's training with Cesar Gracie and the guys back there. I don't know if he's training with Gil and Jake Shields and the crew, or if he's broadened his horizons a little bit. I don't know where Gray Maynard's been training for this fight. Very eager to find out all these things.
See, Nate, you do have value because I hadn't. After all, you have worth. I wouldn't have thought about any of that. And those are all overall I mean, fuck if I know.
Yeah.
To me, those are all X factors. I think to go to one of your questions way back, yeah, Gray is definitely savvy enough to capitalize. I mean, we've known for years the Diaz brothers, they do the same thing. They come forward. They don't even really protect, before they got by on their chin.
Yep.
And now we're seeing it doesn't matter if you get hit with too many fists or with a shin. You're going to fall down or it's not going to work out. Not going to work out well for you. So to me, that's the theme of this whole fight. If Nate goes out and does the same thing that he's done in every fight, I'm not going to say he's going to lose, but his chances are going to drastically decrease.
Well, what if Maynard took the kind of beating from T.J. Grant that's actually diminished his chin? Because that happens, It happened to Chuck Liddell. Brain damage is cumulative. If
Yeah, I don't know if I think to me, and you could be right. I'm not arguing that it's one of those things we'll never know. To me, it was Chuck got figured out. You know what I mean? He got figured out, man. You know, and Rashad.
Well,
I
to
mean,
me,
that was
and
beautiful.
that was beautiful, but that was not Chuck being figured out, dude. That was a very Fedor-esque. Chuck had one of these things where when he got knocked out by Rampage, by virtue of being sloppy, and he was figured out there because he had gotten so into the circle away and throw punches, he got lazy, threw a body shot against Rampage, and circled into his power with his hand down. Really dumb. But against Rashad and against Rich Franklin, he got coming in. He was pressing the action against Rashad kind of desperately, kind of the way Fedor was pressing the action in some of his later fights against Bigfoot.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is they never fought like that in their life. Neither
Yeah.
guy. And you never saw. Actually, it was one thing I thought it was Chuck started shooting doubles on Rich, and it worked great.
It was
And that,
he looked incredible against Rich Franklin. I'm the only guy who wanted to see more Chuck Liddell fights.
No,
I never liked the guy, so I
really.
didn't give a fuck. He was getting knocked out. I liked seeing the shit he was doing. He was working hard.
Oh, I like the guy, but I thought
I mean, he seems like a cool guy. Don't get me wrong. I just never liked him as a fan. I never liked his fighting style. I never rooted for him.
dude, you never.
Dude,
there's
I
something
rooted
wrong
for
with you.
Randy. I rooted for Jeremy Horn. I rooted for the guys that were fighting Chuck. It's just what I did, and that was mostly before I was writing about MMA. So I was strictly a fan and totally emotional about it, and not, rational. And
I'm
I just
still like that.
well,
I love being like that. I hate being rational. That's why everyone watches the MMA for the emotion.
it's
And
true.
I would
It's
not.
true.
It's why you want to get into this sport and work in the sport. So now that I'm here, like I'm not going to turn into a fucking.
Well, now that
I'm not going to turn into Nate
I feel like I
Wilcox.
owe it to the fighters to be a little more even-handed. And also, you watch so many fucking fights and the fighters come and the fighters go. It's hard to get as emotionally engaged like I did. Chuck Liddell was somebody that I saw as a threat to everything I loved about MMA.
God, I don't even know where to begin. There's
You
so
know
much
why?
wrong
Because
with what you're
Sprawl
saying.
and Brawl, I didn't like Sprawl and Brawl. I was like, dude, it's MMA. Why are you avoiding the grappling part of the fight? Like, I thought it was just a pussy evasion. Now I recognize it as a brilliant stylistic decision, but at the time, I was just angry and frightened, as
I think-
many times ignorant are by innovation.
I'd like to offer an epiphany. I think he was avoiding the grappling because he was knocking the piss out of people.
Exactly.
And Jeremy Horn just choked
Exactly.
him out. Yeah, so I guess, I'm not mad at
I mean-
the guy for knocking everyone out and not grappling.
But
Is that-
but at the time,
that odd?
it seemed pussy, and I thought it was boring, and I thought he eye poked a lot of people, and
Well, it's not a big deal, but I hope you burn in hell for that.
oh,
Well, that's
you know,
I said
you know,
it's
I've
not
got
a
a
big
history
deal.
with that phrase.
I-
My third grade birthday party, my best friend said that to me. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
it's
realize
pretty
that it was.
traumatic.
Yeah, I just.
So
brought up
anyway,
some.
Yeah, you just.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
Hurt my feelings, Dallas. Anyway.
I didn't mean to, but I hope some, moderately debilitating mishap befalls you.
Hey,
That's, come on, that's even.
terrible. That's a
Don't get all
terrible thing to say.
emotional now. You just sat up here and hurt Chuck Liddell's feelings. You hurt
I
my
didn't
feelings.
hurt Chuck Liddell.
Don't be a pussy about it
And
now.
besides, this time of day, he's still asleep. But come on, you know he is. Is Chuck Liddell at the offices at 8 in the morning?
I should be fucking
Vegas?
asleep right now, so I'm
You
not
should.
holding it against
And
Chuck.
we
It's
should
like
wrap up the
7
show.
a.m. here.
We've said what we've
Are we
gotta
still
say.
doing the show right now?
We are doing the show, and the reality
Oh.
is that
That
we
it
don't
needs to
know.
end.
We don't know what's going to happen Saturday night, and it comes down to the X factor. Which of these guys has recovered from his last devastating loss? It's really the first. Maynard's had a couple devastating losses, that getting knocked out by Frankie Edgar. Then he came back and had the frustrating fight against Clay Guida. He really hasn't gotten back on the horse. I mean,
Man, that Guida fight really surprised me. I thought Gray was going to dominate him. But
terrible.
to me, it's all about adjustments, and to me, it's on Nate, because Gray did well the first time. He only has to slightly tweak his game. I think Nate just needs to show something
But
different.
if Nate watched that Guida fight, of course he's not going to have the
Yeah, I was
footwork and
gonna-
dancing that
oh my
Guida
God.
had. So,
Can you
but
think
you know
of
the thing with the
more
Guida
polar
fight is
opposites
Guida
and-
completely bollocks Maynard's head. Like
Bollocks.
he had Maynard
Sex Pistols.
completely baffled. It's just he did all the dance, float like a butterfly stuff. He just didn't do any of the stinging like a bee. I mean, there were points when Maynard was like, it looked like in his face he was going, "Okay, dude, your footwork has me stymied. You've got whatever angle you want. Fucking beat me up." Like,
Yeah, but that was the only thing Clay could do, really. You know what I mean? Like going into that, when I wrote that analysis stuff, I remember thinking like, what the fuck is Clay Guida going to do to Gray Maynard? He's not going to out wrestle him. He's not going to outstrike him. He's not going to knock him out.
He could have outstruck him though. I think if he'd been more aggressive in the late rounds, he could have outstruck him. I mean, that fight was his for the taking. He had Maynard completely confused. He had whatever angles he wanted on him, and he just
think about what a tall task that is though for Clay to outstrike Gray.
He had the wherewithal to dance his feet like a moron. I mean,
well, but that was part of it. Like I was surprised he did that.
When I go like that,
let me see it again. Make the face.
It means it means I'm dancing my feet.
Give it to me one more time. Give me the face. Give me the face.
Dallas is begging for it. Dallas is begging for it.
Yeah, that's
this is ridiculous. We need to end the show.
This is the worst show we've ever done.
Naming our families. So
yes,
we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. All our American viewers, because people in
I would like to wish everyone in the world a happy
whatever, but for some people it's just like a Thursday, so I'm not gonna, how about we wish them all the holidays we ignore because of ignorance?
Okay, I think we wrap it up. We need that wrap it up sign, and it needs to be like a siren that's deafening.
Yeah, it's over. Adios, MMA aficionados. Come on, Dallas.
Bye.
Bye. We'll see you next week.